The night she looked at me with red eyes and asked, "Can you give me a hug?" I did not feel like the guy who mixes concrete and hauls bricks all day. I felt like someone standing on the edge of something big, something I did not understand yet. My name is Nathan. I am 24 and I work as a laborer on a construction site in the Bronx, just outside New York City. It is not a dream job. I carry heavy stuff, mix concrete, listen to men shout over machines, and go home with dust in my boots and my back sore. But it pays the rent on my tiny studio above a laundromat. It keeps a little food in my fridge and lets me buy a couple of beers at the end of the week. My apartment is one room. A mattress in the corner, a wobbly table, a folding chair, a cheap microwave that hums too loud when it runs. I live over the laundromat, so it always smells like detergent. The walls are thin. I hear my neighbor's TV every night. Game shows, canned laughter, people winning prizes I will never touch. I used to dream about more. Design school. Drawing buildings with big windows and wide porches. Places that felt like home the second you stepped inside. But tuition was too high, and life did not wait for me to catch up. My parents passed away a few years back. My sister moved to California. So I traded pencils and paper for steel and concrete, and tried to be okay with that. That night the sky was tearing open. Rain came down in thick sheets. The streets shined under the streetlights, like dark rivers. I stood at an ATM near a bus stop, pulling out my last $20 for the week. The machine was slow, groaning and blinking like it was thinking about whether I deserved the cash. When I turned around, I saw her. She was under the bus stop shelter, but the wind was so strong the rain still hit her from the side. Her dark hair stuck to her face. Her shirt and an old, oversized button-up clung to her shoulders. She held a soggy paper bag that was starting to rip at the bottom. She looked cold and tired in a way that went deeper than the weather. I am not the kind of guy who goes looking for trouble. I am not a hero. Most nights I keep my head down and walk home. But something in her eyes made me stop. There was pain there, but also a kind of stubborn strength, like she was trying hard not to fall apart. I walked over and stepped under the shelter, leaving a little space between us. "You okay?" I asked, raising my voice over the sound of the rain hitting the metal roof. She looked up. Her eyes were brown and deep, like there were many things she was not saying. "I don't know where to go," she said. Her voice was soft but steady. "My phone is gone. I think I dropped my wallet. Can you help me?" My first thought was to walk away. You hear stories. You learn to be careful. But she did not look like someone playing a game. She looked like someone who had run out of options. "I've got a place nearby," I said, scratching the back of my neck. "It's not much, but it's dry. You can warm up, figure things out." She hesitated, then nodded once. "Thank you," she said, and I could feel the weight in that one word. We walked in the rain. It was only a 10-minute walk, but it felt longer. I held my jacket up, trying to shield her from the worst of it. It did not help much, but I tried. She kept both hands on that paper bag like it held her whole life. My building looked even sadder in the storm. Old bricks, a flickering light in the hallway, the soft vibration of the washing machines downstairs. I led her up the narrow stairs and unlocked my door. The moment I switched on the light, my studio looked smaller than ever. One room, mattress, table, chair, a small kitchen counter with a cheap stove, cracked paint on the walls. "I'm Nathan," I said, tossing my soaked jacket over the chair. "Marissa," she answered. She stayed near the door at first, like she was not sure if she should come all the way in. Her eyes moved over the room. I did not see any judgment, just quiet focus. I went to the closet and pulled out an extra blanket and a spare pillow. "You can take the bed," I said, handing them to her. "I'll sleep on the floor." "You don't have to do that," she said, shaking her head. "It's fine," I replied. "You look like you need it more than I do." She held the blanket close to her chest for a second, like she was hugging it. "You're kind," she said, "kinder than most." I did not know what to say to that. I did not feel kind, I just felt human. That night I lay on the floor, staring at the ceiling. The rain pounded on the roof. I could hear her breathing, soft and steady, on my mattress across the room. I kept thinking about how she ended up at that bus stop with no phone and no wallet. I did not know who she really was, but I knew one thing. She was not just some random stranger I helped. There was more to her. A lot more. I woke up to a smell I did not know how to place at first. Warm. Real. Not instant noodles or burnt toast. My back hurt from the floor, but when I sat up, I forgot about it. Marissa was in my tiny kitchen, wearing one of my old flannel shirts. It hung loose on her, the sleeves rolled up to her elbows. Her hair was pulled back in a messy knot. On the stove, eggs sizzled in the one frying pan I owned and never really used. Bread was toasting in the microwave's grill setting. The old coffee pot I had buried in a cabinet was actually working. "You're up," she said with a small smile. "I hope you don't mind. I raided your fridge. You had 3 eggs and half a loaf of bread. I did what I could." "I didn't even know those eggs were still good," I said, getting to my feet. "They were almost gone," she said, "but not quite." She set a plate in front of me, then poured coffee into a chipped mug and slid it over. "Thank you," I said. "You didn't have to do this." "You didn't have to let me stay," she said, meeting my eyes for a moment before looking down again. "Figured I should at least make breakfast." We ate in the quiet. The only sounds were the scrape of forks and the hum of the laundromat below us. I kept stealing glances at her. She moved with this calm, careful grace that did not match the story of a woman who had lost everything. "How long have you lived like this?" she asked, nodding toward the bare walls and the worn mattress. 3 years, I said, "since my parents passed. It's not much, but it's quiet." "That's enough." She studied me for a second. "Not everyone who lives simple is poor," she said softly. "Sometimes they are just trying to keep their heart in one piece." Her words hit me harder than they should have, like she had reached into my chest and named something I had never said out loud. Later that night, after a long day at the site, I was brushing my teeth when I heard it. A soft sound through the thin bathroom door. At first I thought it was the pipes. Then I heard it again. Crying. Not loud, not dramatic. Just quiet, controlled sobs, like someone trying very hard not to be heard. My hand hovered over the doorknob. I did not know if I should knock or walk away. Before I could decide, the door opened. Marissa stood there. Her eyes were red, but her face was set, like she had already pulled herself back together. She looked at me for a long second. "Can you give me a hug?" she asked. Her voice was barely above a whisper. My throat tightened. I did not even think. I opened my arms and stepped closer. "My arms have always been open for you," I said. She moved into my chest like she belonged there. Her body was warm but tense, like she had been holding everything in for too long. I wrapped my arms around her and held her, feeling every slow breath she took. In that small bathroom, with the hum of the laundromat below and the city outside, something in my life shifted. I did not know what it was yet. I just knew that this woman, this stranger from the rain, was no longer just someone I had helped. She was becoming something I could not walk away from. The next few days with Marissa felt like someone had taken my quiet little life and turned the volume up, but in a soft way, not loud, not crazy, just full. She stayed. We did not talk about how long, we did not set rules. She just did not leave in the morning, and I did not ask her to. I went to the site at dawn like always. When I came home, my apartment felt different. The first day, I walked in and stopped at the door. The dishes were washed and put away. The counters were clean. The pile of clothes on the chair was folded in a neat stack on the bed. The floor even looked swept. I had not seen it that clean since I moved in. Marissa was sitting cross-legged on the mattress, reading an old paperback book I'd forgotten I owned. Her hair was pulled back, and she had on another one of my shirts, sleeves rolled up again. "You did all this?" I asked, dropping my tool bag by the door. She glanced up and gave a small shrug. "I got bored," she said. "Figured I should earn my keep." "You don't have to earn anything," I said. "You're a guest." She smiled, but there was something in it that was a little sad. Maybe I just like fixing broken things, she said. I wanted to ask if she was talking about my apartment or herself, but I did not. That became our pattern. I went to work, she stayed. When I came home, there was some kind of meal waiting. Not fancy, just simple food that somehow felt like more than it was. Pasta from the back of the cupboard, rice and beans. A salad from wilted lettuce I would have thrown away. You really know how to stretch nothing, I told her one night as we ate at the wobbly table. She looked proud, like she had just pulled off a magic trick. My mom used to say if you can cook from scraps, you can survive anywhere, she said, tapping her fork against her plate. Is she still around? I asked. Marissa's eyes went distant for a second. No, she said, not anymore. There was a quiet there that felt heavy, so I did not push. One evening, I came home to the sound of water splashing and a curse word that did not fit her soft voice. Everything okay? I called. In here, she answered. I found her on the kitchen floor in front of the sink. The cabinet doors were open, and my old metal toolbox was beside her. She was on her knees with a wrench in her hand. Water dripped steadily into a bowl under the pipe. What are you doing? I asked, trying not to laugh. Your faucet leaks, she said, giving me a look. It was driving me crazy. I thought I could fix it. You are going to fix my plumbing? I raised an eyebrow. Why not? She said. How hard can it be? I knelt beside her and gently took the wrench from her hand. Hard enough that you're about to flood the whole place, I said. Here, let me show you. Quote. She shifted so our shoulders were touching. I reached under the sink and guided her hand with mine, showing her where to tighten. The metal was cold. Her skin was warm. The faucet sputtered, then sprayed us both in the face before settling into a steady stream. We jerked back, laughing, water dripping from our hair and chins. For a second, the sound of our laughter filled the little kitchen, bouncing off the thin walls. It felt good. Too good. Nice job, plumber, she said, wiping her cheek with the back of her hand. You sure you are not in the wrong line of work? Yeah, I said, grinning. Maybe I should put semi-skilled sink fixer on my resume. She handed me a towel. Our fingers brushed, and a sharp, quick jolt shot through me. I pretended not to notice. She pretended too. But we both felt it. I know we did. Later that night, I dragged 2 folding chairs out onto the tiny balcony outside my window. It was hardly a balcony, more like a narrow ledge with a rusty railing, but it was something. The Bronx hummed around us. Cars honked. A dog barked somewhere. A siren wailed in the distance. We shared a 6-pack of cheap beer. She sat back with one leg stretched out, her foot resting on the railing, the can balanced on her knee. So what is your deal, Nathan? She asked, looking at me sideways. You work hard all day, live in a shoebox above a laundromat. What do you actually want? No one asked me that, not really. People asked if I wanted overtime, if I wanted another drink, not what I wanted from my life. I used to want to design houses, I said slowly, staring at the streetlights below. Buildings, places people could call home. I drew all the time in high school. Had a whole notebook of sketches, but school cost more than I could pay, so I gave it up. You still draw? She asked. Not really, I said. Feels stupid now. Childish. It's not stupid, she said. Her voice was steady, almost sharp. Wanting something for yourself is not stupid. I looked at her. She watched me with those deep brown eyes, serious and focused. Not everything has to be about paying bills, she said. Some things are about keeping you alive inside. Quote. Her words stuck to me like wet concrete. I could not shake them off, even when I tried. The next day, she went hunting through my closet and the boxes under my bed while I was at work. When I came home, she held something in her hands. What is this? She asked. It was an old sketchbook. The cover was bent. The pages were yellow at the edges. I had not seen it in years. Oh, I said, suddenly shy. That's nothing. Just old drawings. She opened it before I could grab it. Page after page of houses I had imagined. Small ones, big ones, porches, Balconies, tall windows, wide yards. "These are good," she said, not looking up. "Really good." I laughed once, tired and short. "They're just doodles, Marissa." She shut the sketchbook gently and held it like it was something precious. "They are not just doodles if they came from you," she said. "You have something, Nathan." Her words made my chest feel tight. That night on the balcony, we did not drink beer. We drank instant coffee from chipped mugs because she said we should, quote, "act like adults for once." She leaned her head on my shoulder for a moment. Just a light weight, but I felt it all through me. "You're easy to be around," she said quietly. "I forgot people like you existed." "People like me?" I asked. "People who help without asking what they get back," she said. "People who listen." I wanted to ask her more about herself. Her past, her job, her life before that bus stop. She had told me pieces. A partner who left. A life that fell apart. It sounded real, but sometimes the way she spoke felt too smooth, too careful, like she was leaving things out. Still, when she smiled at me in the dim light, all I could think was how right it felt, having her there. On the fifth morning, I woke up to a strange kind of silence. The laundromat hummed below like always, but the room felt empty. "Marissa?" I called, sitting up. No answer. The mattress was made, the blanket folded. Her borrowed shirt was draped over the chair. For a second, my stomach dropped. I thought she had gone. Just like that. No note. No goodbye. I stood there in the middle of my tiny apartment, feeling stupid for how much that hurt after only a few days. Then I heard the bathroom door click open. I turned, and my breath caught in my throat. This was not the Marissa in my flannel shirt and bare feet. She stepped out in a black blazer that fit her perfectly, over a white blouse that looked soft and expensive, slim black pants, simple heels that clicked softly on my cheap floor. Her hair was pulled back in a neat bun. Her makeup was light but sharp. Her lips were dark, her eyes lined in a way that made them look even deeper. She looked like someone who belonged in a glass office high above the city, not in my studio over a laundromat. She held a leather bag in one hand and a phone in the other, tapping the screen like she had 100 things to do. "Morning," she said. Her voice was calm, smooth, different, like she had flipped a switch. "I didn't mean to scare you." I just stared at her, my heart pounding. "Marissa," I said slowly. "What is going on?" "Why do you look like that?" Quote. She set her bag on the table and took a breath, her eyes meeting mine without flinching. "I owe you the truth," she said. "I haven't been honest with you, Nathan." The room felt smaller all at once. The space between us felt bigger than ever. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice rough. She held my gaze. "I am not who you think I am," she said. And in that moment, I knew my life was about to change again. "I am not who you think I am." She said it so calmly that for a second it did not even make sense. I stood there in my sweatpants, hair a mess, dust still on my work boots from yesterday, staring at a woman who looked like she walked out of a company boardroom. "What does that mean?" I asked. She took a breath, placed both hands on the back of the chair like she needed something solid to hold. "My name is Marissa Hole," she said. "I am the CEO of Hole Media." I blinked at her. The name sounded familiar, like something I had seen on an ad somewhere, on a billboard or a subway poster. But my brain could not catch up. "CEO," I repeated. "Like the boss CEO?" She nodded once. "Yeah," she said quietly. "Like the boss CEO." My chest felt tight, like someone had wrapped a band of steel around it and pulled. "So you're not, what, homeless? Broke? Lost?" The words tasted bitter. "You lied about all of that?" Her eyes did not flinch, but I saw something in them. Guilt, fear, maybe both. "I was never homeless," she said. "I didn't lose my wallet or my phone. I left them in my car. I was testing something." "Testing what?" I snapped. She held my gaze. "Kindness," she said. "Trust. I was doing a field project. I wanted to see how people react when a stranger asks for help in a real way, not in a controlled room. I wanted it to be honest." I laughed, but it came out rough and empty. "So what?" I said. I'm some kind of lab rat? A case study? Nathan, no, she said quickly, stepping closer. Listen, that first night, yes, I was running an experiment. I wanted to see if anyone would help me, really help me, not just toss me a couple of dollars and walk away. You didn't hesitate. You took me home. You gave me your bed. You didn't ask what you'd get out of it. That is what normal people do, I said. At least they should. You would be surprised, she said softly. Most don't. They look away. I shook my head. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. You let me believe you were broken, I said. You told me about losing everything. You cooked in my kitchen. You cried in my bathroom. You asked me for a hug. Was that all part of the project too? Quote. Her face twisted like the question stung. No, she said. Not that. Not the way it turned out. The story I told you that first night was edited, yes, but the pain was real. I did lose things. I did lose people. I just didn't tell you the full version, because then you would have known who I was. And I needed you to see me as just someone in trouble. You lied, I said again, because that was the only thing my brain could lock onto. You came into my life under a fake story and watched me fall for it. I watched you be human, she said. I watched you care. And I did not expect it to hit me like it did. I felt my throat burn. You should have told me, I said. Day 2, day 3, any day. You could have said, Nathan, I'm not who you think. I have money. I have a job. I have a life somewhere else. You let me think we were the same. I know, she said. Her voice dropped, softer now. I kept putting it off. Every time I tried to tell you, you did something that made it harder. You fixed the sink with me. You shared beer with me on the balcony. You showed me your sketches. You held me when I asked. I was not supposed to feel anything, Nathan, but I did. I turned away from her, pressing my hands against the counter so hard my fingers hurt. The apartment felt too small, the walls too close. So what now? I asked. You got your data? You write your report, tell your rich friends about the nice construction guy in the Bronx who let the big CEO crash on his mattress? That's not what this is, she said. I don't want to turn you into a story to sell. I stopped the project after the first night because of you. Because I knew I was crossing a line I shouldn't. Funny, I said. Doesn't feel like you stopped anything. She stepped closer, but not close enough to touch me. I stayed because I wanted to, not because of the project, she said. I stayed because you felt like the first real moment I've had in a long time. No titles, no cameras, no investors. Just you and me and bad coffee. I stared at the floor. My voice came out low. I don't know what to do with that, I said. I don't know how to trust you. A long silence stretched between us. She reached into her bag, pulled out a simple white card, and set it on the table. Her name was printed at the top. Under it, in small letters, Whole Media. A phone number. An email. An office address in Manhattan. If you ever want to try design again, she said, send me your first sketch. I can help. Not because you were part of my project, because you are talented, and I believe you are meant for more than carrying bricks for other people's buildings. I did not move. I did not reach for the card. You should go, I said finally. My voice shook, but I forced the words out. You have your world. I have mine. Quote. She looked like she wanted to argue. Instead, she just nodded once. Okay, she said. If that's what you want. She picked up her bag, walked to the door, then paused with her hand on the handle. For what it's worth, she said without turning around, when I asked you for that hug, that was the most honest thing I've done in years. Then she walked out. The door closed with a soft click, and the sound echoed in my chest. The apartment felt different after she left. Bigger, but empty. The mattress looked too neat, the sink too clean. The folded clothes on the bed felt like they belonged to a different life. Her card sat on the table, bright and sharp against the old wood. I went to work that day, but my head was not on the job. The noise of the site washed over me. Men yelled. Machines roared. Cement dust filled the air. I went through the motions, lifting, carrying, tying rebar. But inside I was stuck back in that small room. watching her walk out the door in that black blazer. Part of me was furious. Part of me missed her so much it scared me. That night, I came home, dropped my boots by the door, and saw the card again. The clean print. Her name. Her world. I picked it up, traced the letters with my thumb, then set it back down like it burned. Days passed. Work, sleep, repeat. The studio went back to its old state. Dishes in the sink, clothes on the chair, instant noodles for dinner. But the quiet was different now. It wasn't peaceful. It was loud, like something was missing and would not shut up. I told myself I was fine. She had lied. She had used me. That is what I repeated in my head when I caught myself listening for her laugh, or looking at the balcony and expecting to see her there with a beer in her hand. A week after she left, I came home to find a small cardboard box sitting outside my door. No return address, just my name, written in neat, careful handwriting I knew too well. My heart started pounding as I picked it up. I took it inside, set it on the table next to her card, and stared at it for a long minute. Then I tore the tape open with shaking hands. Inside was a black case, smooth and sleek. I opened it to find a set of drawing pencils, charcoal sticks, and a thick sketch pad with clean white pages. The kind of stuff real artists use, not the cheap supplies from the discount store. On top of the pad was a folded note. I unfolded it and read, "Don't think just because you're ordinary you can't create something extraordinary. I'm still waiting for your first drawing. Marissa." The letters blurred. My throat closed up. I sat down hard on the chair, the note trembling in my hand. For the first time in years, I let the tears come. Not loud, not dramatic. Just quiet and steady, like rain against a window. She had lied. She had hurt me. But she had also seen me. Seen a part of me I had buried under concrete and dust. And now, sitting there in my tiny apartment above a laundromat, with a sketch pad in front of me and that note in my hand, I had a choice. Keep living like nothing had changed. Or pick up the pencil and find out what else I could be. I stared at that sketch pad for a long time. The pencils were lined up in the case like they were waiting for me. I ran my fingers over the smooth wood, feeling stupid and scared at the same time. It was just paper and graphite, but it felt heavier than anything I had lifted at the construction site. I opened to the first blank page. My hands shook at first. I had not drawn in years. Not really. I pressed the pencil down and started with a line, then another. A roof, a porch, wide windows. I drew the kind of house I always saw in my head. Not big, not rich, just warm. A place that felt like you could walk into and feel safe. I lost track of time. The hum of the laundromat faded into the background. The city noise turned into a soft blur. It was just me, the paper, and the picture in my mind. When I finally leaned back, my neck stiff, there it was. A small two-story house with a wide front porch, big windows facing the street, a little balcony on the second floor. I had drawn a tiny figure sitting on the porch steps. Another figure standing in front, arms open. I knew who they were, even in simple lines. Me and Marissa. My chest hurt, but in a way that felt alive. I tore the page out carefully and stared at it. Part of me wanted to keep it, hide it under my mattress like some secret. The other part heard her words again. "I'm still waiting for your first drawing." Before I could chicken out, I pulled out an old envelope, slid the sketch inside, and grabbed her business card from the table. I copied the office address in block letters. My heart pounded as I sealed it. My name and return address looked small in the top left corner. At the mailbox on the corner, I stood there for a full minute, the envelope in my hand. "If this blows up in my face, I am blaming you," I muttered to no one. Then I let it drop. Days passed. Work, noise, dust. My body did the same moves, but my mind kept drifting to that envelope, as if I could see it traveling through the city, landing on her desk, her fingers touching the edges of my drawing. Maybe she would laugh. Maybe she was too busy to care. Maybe someone else would open it and toss it into a bin with junk mail. By the fourth day, I told myself to let it go. She was a CEO in Manhattan. I was a guy who mixed concrete in the Bronx. Our paths had crossed. They were not meant to keep crossing. On Friday, my phone buzzed during my lunch break. The number was unknown. From Manhattan. My heart slammed against my ribs. I almost let it go to voicemail. Almost. "Hello?" My voice came out hoarse. "Nathan?" Her voice was clear on the other end. Calm, but there was something under it. "It's Marissa." I sat down on the low wall by the side entrance because my legs suddenly felt weak. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual and failing. "Got my address off the envelope, I see." "You did not put a note in with the sketch," she said. "Just the drawing." "Didn't know what to say," I told her. There was a small pause. "I put it on my office wall," she said. "I moved one of my awards to make space for it." I swallowed hard. "You didn't have to do that," I said. "I wanted to," she replied. "Nathan, can you come to Manhattan tomorrow? To my office? I know it is your day off, but I would like to see you, to talk in person. Properly this time. No lies. No tests." Quote. Every part of me was split in two. One half wanted to say no to stay safe, to build a wall and never let her close enough to hurt me again. The other half remembered her standing in my bathroom doorway with red eyes, asking for a hug like it was the only thing holding her together. "Okay," I heard myself say. "Yeah, I'll come." The next day, I put on the cleanest jeans I owned and a plain black t-shirt. I thought about changing my boots for sneakers, but in the end, I kept the boots. They were part of who I was. The subway ride into Manhattan felt like crossing into a different universe. Glass towers, bright billboards, people in suits moving fast with coffee cups in their hands. Whole Media was in one of those tall buildings that looked like it touched the clouds. In the lobby, I told the front desk her name. The man nodded and handed me a visitor badge, like this kind of thing happened every day. 42nd floor, he said. "She is expecting you." The elevator ride felt like floating. My ears popped as the numbers climbed. When the doors finally slid open, I stepped into a bright hallway with large windows and framed posters on the walls. A young woman in a blazer greeted me. "You must be Nathan," she said. "Come with me." She led me down the hall to a glass door with Marissa's name on it. She knocked once and opened it. Marissa stood by the window, city spread out behind her like a picture. She wore another blazer, but it was softer this time. Her hair was still pulled back, but a few strands had escaped and framed her face. When she saw me, her expression changed. The CEO mask slipped, and there she was. The woman from my apartment. The one in my flannel shirt. The one who cried behind my bathroom door. "Hey," I said quietly. "Hey," she echoed. For a moment, we just looked at each other. Then I saw it. On the wall behind her desk, in a simple black frame, was my sketch. My house. Our two little stick-like figures. "You really hung it up," I said. "I told you I was waiting for your first drawing," she said. "I keep my promises, Nathan, even when I mess up other things." Quote. We sat on a small couch against the wall. The room was big, but sitting there with her it felt less scary. "I wanted to say I'm sorry in person," she said. "Not just send you gifts or notes. What I did was wrong. I stepped into your life under a lie. I thought I could control it, but then I met you, and I lost control of the one thing I am always able to manage, myself." I watched her face. Her eyes did not dodge mine. She looked tired in a way that had nothing to do with work. "You hurt me," I said. I did not say it to punish her, just to be honest. "I know," she said. Her voice cracked just a little. "If you walk out of here and never talk to me again, I will deserve it." But I had to try. Because these last weeks without you, seeing that empty mattress in my head, eating alone in my perfect kitchen, coming to this office where everyone knows my name but no one knows my heart, I realized something. "What?" I asked softly. For the first time in my life, I did not want to be the woman with all the answers, she said. I just wanted to be the woman who made breakfast in your tiny kitchen and sat on your broken balcony drinking cheap beer. I missed that more than I missed anything money ever bought me. My chest burned. I looked down at my hands, calloused and rough. I don't fit in this world, I said. Look at this place. Look at me. She leaned forward. Nathan, look at me, she said. I did. I did not choose you because you were some random subject, she said. I stayed because when you opened that door in the rain, I felt something I never feel in rooms like this. Safe. Seen. You think you don't belong in my world, but the truth is, most days I don't feel like I belong in it either. A silence settled between us. It was not empty. It was full. What do you want from me? I asked. Her eyes softened. A chance, she said. A chance to make things right. A chance to see if what we felt in that small apartment can exist without lies. No projects, no hidden agenda. Just you and me trying to figure it out. I thought of the nights she cooked with almost nothing, the way she laughed when the sink sprayed water in our faces, the way her body shook in my arms when she asked for that first hug. I don't know if I can trust you fully yet, I said, but I want to, and that scares me. She let out a shaky breath. It scares me too, she said, but I am more afraid of going back to the way my life was before I met you. She stood up then, like she could not sit still anymore, and moved to the window. The city spread out behind her in a blur of glass and light. Her shoulders trembled a little. When she turned back to me, her eyes were glossy again. Not from power this time, from something real. Nathan, she said, her voice low, can I ask you something? Yeah, I said, standing too. Her gaze locked on mine. Can you give me a hug? She asked. This time there was no rain, no broken story, no project behind it, just a woman asking a man for something honest. I felt the answer rise in me before the words did. I stepped toward her, my chest tight, and opened my arms. My arms have always been open for you, I said. She closed the space between us. When she fell into my chest, it did not feel like something new. It felt like coming back to a place we had already built without knowing it. Her arms wrapped around my waist. Her cheek rested against my shirt. I held her, stronger this time, not like I was afraid she would break, but like we were both done pretending we were made of glass. We stayed like that for a long moment. The city moved outside the glass. Phones buzzed somewhere. People talked in the hall. But in that office, it was just us. When we finally pulled apart, she wiped her eyes and laughed softly. Not very CEO-like, huh? She said. I kinda like this version better, I said. She smiled. I meant what I said about your talent, she continued. I want to help you go to design school, if you want it. A program. Classes. A foot in the door. You do not have to work for me. You do not owe me anything. But if you let me, I would like to invest in you. Not as a project, as someone I care about. Are you sure you are not just trying to buy forgiveness? I asked, but I said it gently. She shook her head. I could write checks all day, she said. They never made me feel the way your sketch on my wall does. I looked at the drawing again, at the little porch, at the two figures, at the idea of a life that was more than tired muscles and dust. Okay, I said finally. We can try. The school thing, the us thing, all of it. But we do it slow, no more surprises. No more surprises, she promised. We walked out of the building together. The sun was starting to set, painting the glass towers in orange and gold. On the sidewalk, among the crowds, she reached for my hand. I let her take it. The calluses on my fingers brushed against her smooth palm. The difference was there, clear as day, but it did not feel like a wall. It felt like a bridge. Weeks turned into months. I still worked some shifts at the construction site, but fewer. I started night classes in design, with money she helped arrange in a way that did not make me feel like a charity case. We spent some nights at her place, high above the city lights, and some in my tiny apartment above the laundromat, eating simple food and sitting on the balcony like old times. We fought sometimes. We stumbled. Trust is not a switch you turn on. It is something you build, brick by brick, like a house. But every time the fear came back, every time the gap between our worlds felt too big, She would come close, look me in the eye, and ask in a quiet voice I knew too well, "Can you give me a hug?" And every time my answer was the same. "My arms have always been open for you.